All right. Now I should be able to hear me. So I have to go back and open up those windows. Sorry, folks. All right. So I'm going to probably get some reverb in just a moment. So hang in there with me. And then we're going to try to share this so other people can hear it. Oh, this ought to be fun. I have to hit mute. How about that for a ringtone? And then we're going to try to share this
sorry about
so
that.
other people can hear it. All right, now what I have to do is remove. Oh, this ought to be fun
because there's a little reverb here.
There we now we turn the volume down. All right, now we're cooking with oil because gas don't last. Let's go ahead and turn this all the way down. So now I don't have to hear myself. I don't have to hear the reverb on it. And what I want to do is I want to share this to everybody that I can. All right, so let's go ahead and hit share on Facebook. We're trying something new here, folks. So bear with me. Okay, so I've got like 12 elements going at one time here. Plus, if you see me looking over here, I got a clock over here. I got a clock over here. I've got a show donut over here. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait, 6, 7 lights right here. Never mind the overhead light. So we got a lot cooking. All right, so let's go ahead. I wonder if we can hit your story and I'll hit feed. And you know what I need to do? I need to post what this is about. Let's go ahead and post. All right, now Tyrone may join us in a little bit, so I'm not going to share. I'm going to leave him on the title. All right, so everybody on Facebook, you should be able to see this. And let's go ahead and hit post to Facebook. Okay, so people on Facebook can watch as well. All right, we've done that. And now let's see if we can also post to Facebook on a page, because we do have a page or 2 or 3. All right. So, oh, here it is. Okay, so let's hit there, share to newsfeed, share to a group. Now we're cooking. That will be get notified when the Sports Circus goes live. Let's go ahead and share it there. All right, we're going to share it there as well. Thanks for your patience once again, folks. So I am almost ready to start, and let me try one other thing here. I'm going to post this to the Sports Circus. Also, I'm going to post it to AMP TV so people can watch it. All right. All right. So if you're tuning into those, let's share it to a page that I manage. Hey, now let's share to the Sports Circus. Here we go. Now we've got this. All right, so let's go ahead and hit post. And then what I could do is I could share it. I have to log in over here, and I'm going to share this from the Sports Circus over to AMP TV. It sounds kind of crazy, but we're in the crazy business, I believe. Okay, so let's go to the Sports Circus. All right. And then, okay, we're going to switch to that identity. I'm almost done. Bear with me here. Now I'm going to take that feed. I'm going to go to our page here for the circus. All right. And we're almost done. Let's hit the home button. Then let's hit the circus page. Okay, which we've done. There we go. Now I could take this feed and I could share it over to AMP TV. Share to, or better yet, I should go to AMP TV. That's what I'll do. We'll go to AMP TV, and then we're going to share that Sports Circus feed on their page. So now we're switching to AMP TV. It stands for All Ages Media Programming, in case you're keeping score. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll go to the Sports Circus, and let's go ahead and search for that, which will be just a moment. Here it is. Sports Circus. I think this is the right one. Nope, that's not the right one. And we'll go to, oh, I know. All right, because Facebook had a problem with me sharing, believe it or not, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys a while back. Yeah, so I had to start a new profile. Imagine that. For why? I have no bleeping clue. Okay, so let's go ahead and post this. I'm going to share it now to AMP TV. Okay, so now it appears that there's that noise. So it appears that everybody has this going now, or if you're interested in watching, you can watch it, whether it's on my profile, on YouTube, on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of this profile. And then we'll go back to my primary one. Now I can watch it there. And I'm going to watch it on YouTube on this other channel, and then we'll be set and ready to go. Okay, so looks like I can see it there. All right, let's hit this. I got to kill the volume. All right, and see, there's the feedback. There we go. Let's kill the volume, and let's kill the ringtone. And all right, now we should be ready to go. So sorry for the delays, folks. I just got to be able to watch this, and I'm sure you understand. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just watch this over here, and we'll go to YouTube so we can see the feedback over here, and then we'll be ready to go. Let's put in Sports Circus here. All right, Sports Circus, that's me. I'm a one-man circus. Okay, live. Now we got it everywhere. Okay, perfect. So there you can see, there's where I am. All right. So now everybody can watch this. I can watch it. And let's just get on with the getting on. All right. And then we're going to send it to one other thing here. All right. Thanks so much for your patience. And the good news is we're going to have a good dialogue about Ohtani. Yes, we're going to talk Ohtani. Why? Because we can. And I think that's a good thing. All right, so now let's go ahead and minimize all of this fun stuff. And then let's get our notes here, because we do have a couple of notes. We've got to make sure that we have this. And I'm going to save a track and field dialogue. If Tyrone Poole shows up, that's great. And if not, that's okay, because we are set and we are ready to go. And let's start this thing off. Let me hit this record button, because in case I miss my mark, which, you know, we certainly don't want that, we have to do that. So let's go ahead and hit record. And that would be record on here. There you go. Okay. So now that's recording. And we're going to go ahead and minimize that. We're going to start this one. And here we go, folks. So bear with me. 1 second. Here we go. Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you try their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all, those massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever had as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's www.uppercutchops.com, or give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935 for uppercutchops.com. All right, a big welcome into everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, plus independents from coast to coast, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, WOW Cable Television affiliates. hotel TV in over 600,000 rooms as well in every Nielsen rated market, as well as all those streaming on YouTube, Facebook. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow and share this video as well. All right, now that we've got all that stuff out of the way, I thought there's a lot of talk about Shohei Ohtani. And look, the guy's good. He's really good. But is he the best player in baseball? Why are we talking about this? Is it because of the injury? Not necessarily. But I have to cover that because it's very, very important. In fact, multiple outlets talking about the Angels general manager saying that Shohei Ohtani and his agent turned down an MRI weeks before the torn UCL diagnosis. And why is that? Show me the money! Could it be that maybe let's get him to the off season? Let's see if he can last. Let him sign somewhere and let him, as a free agent, of course, maybe place that burden on the next team. We'll get to that. So, as all these different media outlets have explained, let's just stick with Yahoo because they're kind of in the middle of the road as far as their opinion on this, that, or the other, whatnot. Anyway, they say that Shohei Ohtani's time as a pitcher is done for the season. The Angels would like to make it clear that it isn't their fault. The Los Angeles Angels phenom was diagnosed with a torn UCL, likely putting him on a path to a second Tommy John surgery and disrupting what was expected to be the most lucrative free agency contract in Major League Baseball history. Of course, it's devastating news for Ohtani, but the timeline in which the injury was discovered needs to be discussed. Angels general manager Perry Minasian, likely feeling the heat, did his best to make it clear any injury didn't go unnoticed, due to the team's negligence, of course, telling reporters that Ohtani and his agent turned down an MRI earlier in the month after he cramped up in a start. Now, Minasian reportedly added Ohtani didn't mention any elbow pain until the day the injury was noticed. Well, I think that is financially obvious why that happened or did not happen. And here's a quick timeline of Ohtani's pitching this month, which might be helpful here. When I see this month, I'm referring to August of 2023. So August 3rd, Ohtani is pulled from a start after only 4 innings due to finger cramping. Now, I'm a former pitcher. I don't even know what finger cramping is. And I have thrown, in my time as a former pitcher, I have thrown arguably as many innings as somebody like this guy. Doesn't matter what level. The reality is, I don't know what finger cramping is. I've never had finger cramping. Moving on. August 9th, Ohtani throws 6 innings with 1 unearned run in his final win of the season. 4 days later, the Angels announced Ohtani will miss his next start due to arm fatigue. We'll get back to that. We'll talk about arm fatigue in detail. August 13th through 22, Ohtani plays every day as the Angels' designated hitter. Now, wait a minute, folks. First of all, you're not playing, you're hitting. Let's be clear. A position player plays the position. A pitcher pitches. A designated hitter sits on the bench until it's their turn to do what? To hit for the pitcher. So, therefore, they say, well, he plays every day as the Angels DH. You're not really playing outside the fact that you're hitting. You get done hitting, and if you get on base, you run your bases, whatever. But then you go right back and sit on the bench for the next at bat. Technically, you're playing, but you're really not playing, if you know what I mean. Nonetheless, moving on. August 23rd, game 1, Ohtani leaves the start after only 5 batters. Angels announced he was removed due to arm fatigue. There's that arm fatigue again. So, August 23rd, game 2, Ohtani plays as the designated hitter. The plot thickens. removed from the game as a pitcher, yet good enough to hit. And there's a correlation between the two. We'll get to that. August 23rd, post-game, Ohtani is announced to have a torn UCL. Now, look at that sequence of events, and you might wonder if there was reason to believe Ohtani was already seriously injured or in danger of serious injury once again before his start on August 23rd. So the Angels certainly seemed prepared for him to leave early that day, as they already had starting pitcher Tyler Anderson ready to pitch 4 2/3 innings in relief. Why is that? We'll get back to that. Seems a little fishy to me, but what do I know? I'm just another guy that follows sports like everybody else. Kind of interesting. So if you're saying, well, hey, this guy's the best player in Major League Baseball, well, let's take a look at that. So as a hitter, he has 476 at-bats, 36th in Major League Baseball, partly attributed to the team and productivity, whatever. He ranks 15th in Major League Baseball in strikeouts at the plate. Not as a pitcher. He has struck out a lot of times, and I mean a lot. He's hitting 305, 9th in Major League Baseball. Pretty good. 44 home runs, leads Major League Baseball. 19 stolen bases, is 32nd in Major League Baseball. He has been thrown out 5 times. His OPS is 1.075. That leads Major League Baseball. It's a pretty good hitter, folks. Pretty good hitter. Let's go to the pitching side. They say, well, he's the best player. He's the MVP. Not so fast. 35th in Major League Baseball in wins, partly attributed to the team. Again, he's a pretty good pitcher. He has 132 innings pitched, 54th in Major League Baseball this year. Not first, not 10th, not 20th, 54th. His ERA of 3.14 is good enough for 9th in Major League Baseball. That's pretty good. His whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, is 1.06. That's good enough for 8th in Major League Baseball. That's pretty good. 167 strikeouts this year. That's good enough for 14th in Major League Baseball. Yet he has 55 walks. He's walked 55 hitters. Those are the strikeouts to walk ratio is good, and that puts him in the 3-to-1 ratio. Very, very good. What's good for Major League Baseball is typically 2.5 to 1. He's about 3-to-1. He's just over 3-to-1. But that puts him as 800th in Major League Baseball. Is he the best player in baseball? We'll get back to that. Now, also, going back to this injury thing, Ohtani clearly wasn't feeling well for most of the month as I went down the appearances. And that led to a lot of people second guessing the Angels not taking a closer look at his arm, especially after his arm fatigue caused him to miss a start. Now, Manassian's comments placed responsibility for that lack of action directly onto Ohtani, and good for him. Now, whether that's fair or not, of course, players will often turn down MRIs if they're feeling fine, something Angels manager Phil Nevin said he's done in his own playing career. So be it. This guy is going to be a free agent, and that is one thing either A, you want to hide, or B, you want to get out there. Nonetheless, the decision on how to move forward fully belongs to Ohtani. Now, of course, this guy's 29 years of age. He's no spring chicken, and is currently pursuing his second opinions on potential second Tommy John surgery. Ohtani underwent the procedure after his rookie season in 2018 and spent 2019 as a full-time hitter while rehabbing. But the increased risk of undergoing it a second time might make it harder for him to come back and hit next season. Mind you, not pitch, just hit. So what I want to cover is the correlation between Tommy John surgery and, of course, how does that reflect upon the hitting or swinging of a baseball bat? Is there an effect between the two? Is there a cause-effect relationship between the two? Can one hinder the other? We're going to take a look at that in the next segment. We're also going to take a look at arm fatigue. What the hell is arm fatigue? And what is the ulna collateral ligament injury in the first place. So when we come back, folks, we're going to talk about those and a lot more here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Dolan.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Check out the sportscircus.com website for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are our podcast in full on all podcast platforms. Pick your favorite one. We're probably there. More than likely, we are there, as a matter of fact. Anyway, make sure you check out also our partners page. One of those is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and our independents from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500, KHKA, all the way over to Las Vegas, KJPT Jackpot Radio, and KVGK 97.9 FM, Also, all the way over in Atlanta, WDJY. Thanks for joining us also in Auburn, Alabama, home of the Atlanta Braves. Maybe the world champion Atlanta Braves coming up. You never know. All right. And also our friends over in Southwest Florida, WBGY, covering Naples, Marco Island, Sanibel Island, all those wonderful places, beautiful resort areas, and many others in between. All right. Now that we got all that out of the way, besides Hotel TV and all Nielsen rated markets, we're going to continue on with this Shohei Ohtani conversation. Why? Because we can. Is he the best player in baseball? In my opinion, absolutely not. No. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But he is a very, very, very good player. I absolutely tip my hat to him. And he seems to be a pretty good human, too. No negativity on this kid whatsoever. I can say kid because everybody's older than me at this point. Nonetheless, so Ohtani at 29 years of age, looking for that big contract. So there's some issues. We went over his play from August of 2023. And a real quick summary, once again, pulled from start 4 innings in on August 3rd. August 9th, throw 6 innings and a good outing. Got his final win of the season. August 13th, announced he's going to miss the next start due to arm fatigue. We're going to cover that in just a moment. And then for the next 9 days, he was the DH. And then, of course, he leaves after, 5 batters with arm fatigue, once again on the 23rd. And then on the 23rd, that was a doubleheader, game 1. Game 2, game 1 he was pitching. Game 2, he was the DH. And game 3, there should have been, I like triple headers. Anyway, after game 2, Ohtani was announced to have a UCL issue. All right. So we went over his stats and whatnot and what he feels. Okay. First of all, what's this arm fatigue thing? I can tell you as a former pitcher, that is when there is a statement, you'll ask somebody how their arm feels after an outing or whatnot, or even on the playground or whatnot. And so people say, oh man, my hose is hanging. So basically your arm is really sore. It's really tired. It just feels like you can hardly get that arm up there and throw again. So of course, as you grab that baseball and for you to get something on that ball, you could feel it through your shoulder. You could feel it through your elbow. You could feel it through your bi and your tricep muscle. It's your arm is just hanging. So it feels fatigued, right? Well, when you throw a lot of sliders and this kind of wrist tweaking motion, right? A lot of pitchers will throw that cut fastball. They'll throw that slider. They'll throw stuff that as you tweak your wrist, what happens, folks, is you actually tweak your elbow. I'm trying to do this so the camera can see this. All right. So as you move that wrist, well, watch what happens down here. So my fingers are on my elbow. Everybody watching on TV, you have this motion and you could feel this, that funny bone area, right? That people know, you hit it, you're like, oh, ouch, that hurts, but oh, it tingles, whatnot. Well, that is your ulnar nerve. There is the issue. As you keep doing this movement, maybe you want to throw that sweeper or whatever the hell you want to throw, right? That's the new terminology they're using for good old Uncle Charlie and that ball, that old curveball that maybe sweeps across, well, actually from here, from the right to left for all those people that are right-handed. Me as a lefty, I throw it this way. All right. The reality is, as you do this motion, well, you're tweaking your elbow and you could feel that. Do this at home, folks. You could feel your elbow move. Well, that constant wear and tear will eventually cause damage to that ulnar collateral ligament. Now, according to Stanford says the UCL is a small ligament on the inner portion of the elbow that provides stability to resist valgus force or angulation at the elbow joint. And it can be injured acutely in traumatic elbow injuries, such as an elbow dislocation or injuries that commonly occur in gymnastics, wrestling, and falls from a height. These are often abrupt injuries and many times result in a complete tear or rupture of the ligament. However, the more common mechanism of injury occurs over a long period of time with gradual stretching of the ligament, right? This is that movement that we're talking about here, folks. All right. Now, that gradual stretching of the ligament or degradation of the tissue from repeated significant force across the elbow joint such as occurs with elite level baseball pitchers. Ding, ding, ding. That's what we're talking about. These situations, according to Stanford, typically result in a broader area of damage to the ligament and present with typically a more gradual onset of pain and dysfunction. So that's according to Stanford. And what I'm trying to explain here, folks, is when you're tweaking your wrist, what does that do? It has perpetual strain on this ligament. And so Tommy John was the first guy to go under the surgery from Dr. Andrews way back in the day. You know, we had Tommy John on the show, and he said, why does everybody associate me and my name with something bad? Well, because he was the first one to have it, so they named it Tommy John surgery. So unfortunately for Tommy, when we talked on the program, he was really upset with the idea that people always associate him with something negative. Well, the reality is Dr. Andrews is the one that actually did that surgery for Tommy, and he came back and was able to pitch effectively. Well, the reality is this ulnar nerve issue, that funny bone issue, that UCL, that's what this is. Well, the media tried to do everything they could, and of course the Angels tried to do everything they could to say, well, sorry, folks, we don't want to call it Tommy John again. We'll call it a UCL. Folks, it's the Tommy John thing. And the problem is this, for all you young pitchers out there, the issue is this. If you keep throwing curveballs and all kinds of junk, you're going to what? You're going to do damage here. If you're overthrowing the ball, you're going to do damage here, right? You take a great pitcher like Greg Maddux, probably the best in my lifetime, the best I've ever seen. Just a artist when it came to painting that picture around the black. He lived on the black. I'm talking about over home plate. And you had to swing because he was going to somehow get that ball over, or he was going to get that call because his pinpoint control was unbelievable. The reality is this: to be an effective pitcher at baseball, I don't care what level you are listening or watching this right now, you and I both know if you know how to throw the best pitch in baseball, which is a good fastball. It's the hardest thing to do in sports, is to hit a good fastball, right? Whether it is a two-seamer like this with two seams across, right? Or if it's a four-seamer, when you're actually four seams across, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? That's going to go straighter. This two-seamer is going to tail a little bit, right? As a lefty, mine is going to go this way. As a right-hander, yours is going to go this way. But the reality is, if you could throw a two-seam fastball and a four-seam fastball, you're ahead of the game. Now, if you want to change speeds on that, you don't have to start doing this crazy as a kid, right? These 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, even high school kids, you don't have to throw 100 miles an hour. What you can do, and I'm going to give this one to you for free, is the depth at which you hold that ball, right? If you have that ball all the way out on your fingertips, right, like this, as a pitcher, you're going to get a lot of velocity on that ball. That's going to be your maximum velocity. As you move the ball in, a little bit further in, you're going to get less velocity. Thus, the velocity is going to change, which is going to keep the hitters a little bit off balance, right? And again, if you put it deeper in, it's going to get to be slower. Let's think about this. Now what you've done is you've taken those two pitches, your four-seam fastball and your two-seam fastball. And what you've done now is you've given it different velocity, different gradients of speed. A guy like Lance Lynn does this wonderfully, pitches with the Dodgers. He did pitch with these White Sox earlier this year. But the reality now is you go from 2 pitches to 6 pitches. And if you need something else that's dramatically slower, now you've got 3 fingers on, you're going to throw that circle change. There's that little circle that they talk about, right? Everybody has their own way of throwing it. For me, I always threw it like this here. I always put fingers on the seams because a baseball is slippery when it is new. Very slippery, hard to hold. Everything I threw, I had my fingers on the seams. Anyway, the point is, now you're going to take a solid 10 to maybe 15, maybe even 20 miles an hour off of your fastball by putting that ball way back in your hand. You're going to throw it with the same exact motion, every one of these, and you're going to keep hitters off balance. So end of day, folks, what are we talking about? A kid that doesn't have to tweak its elbow, throwing a slider, throwing a curveball, pulling the lampshade down, stuff like that. All you've got to do is keep the same motion. You're not going to damage your elbow. You're not going to do those movements that are going to cause damage down here. I've given you 7 pitches now as a proposed pitcher. Maybe your kid is going to pitch so they don't have to hurt their elbow when they're a kid or even as an adult. Do the right thing, throw the damn ball right. Now that you understand this arm fatigue thing, we can get back into the discussion in the next segment on this whole contract coming up for Shohei Ohtani. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus the sportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
If you're tired of the fake news and tired of all the left-wing BS and agendas out there, if you want to do your right part to clean out the swamps and hit the lefties where it hurts, their pocketbook, we all know the president and his cronies hired thousands more IRS employees and agents. Now that's not very American. There's a way to fight back. Fellow conservatives out there, call American Tax Relief. They can help you pay less to the IRS. Don't you give a penny more to spend to the left-wing agendas. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes or haven't filed your taxes in years, call my friends at American Tax Relief. They'll give you a 100% free introduction to their program. And trust me, they're on the right side of your freedom. Pay the IRS less. Call now.
800-958-2157. 800-958-2157. That's 800-958-2157. Paid for by the Tax Doctor.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing and always need to stick your fingers to test your blood sugar. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. Apply a discrete sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger sticks. If you are living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes and you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 private insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check.
800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey, everybody, this is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP TV. This segment brought to you by our friends over at the American Business Trust Company, helping companies with contracts, raising capital, human resources, structuring their companies. Yes, all of those. We have to say them slow because people are like, what in the world are you talking about? Listen, a lot of companies, a lot of people have ideas on generating companies, starting their own business, whatnot. They don't know how to do it. Contact the American Business Trust Company. They can help. Even startup capital ideas. 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, or email them at info@abtrustco.com. All right, welcome back to everybody on TV, radio, you know who you are. Everybody streaming on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Also on Facebook, thanks for joining us as well. Talking about arm fatigue in the last segment, what that looks like, and the UCL, or the Tommy John surgery. Okay, so that UCL, in case you don't know, that is, of course, well, that is a real big problem. That is the ulnar collateral ligament. That's that thing down here, that funny bone thing. All right, everybody watching on TV. Well, the reality is Ohtani had this injury issue during the month, yet he was playing. And so I gave a description, according to Stanford, of what the UCL was earlier in the last segment, as a matter of fact. Now, going upon this, it sure seems to me that the manager said, he refused an MRI. That would be Phil Nevin. He refused an MRI, being Shohei Ohtani, previously while playing. And Ohtani's new contract forthcoming prior to the injury could have been, I don't know, $65 million or something to that one. Let's think about that for a moment. $65 million. Show me the money! That would be per year. $65 million per year. Big number. Really big number. For how many years? I don't know. I would guess maybe 8 years, something like that. Take him till he's about maybe 37 years of age. I don't know. But anyway, his agent, Nez Balelo, what is his potential loss? I mean, imagine if he made 10% of that. I don't know what he makes off his players, but what I do know is that this guy apparently, just as of not too long ago, was worth, I don't know, $14.5 million. And he's in the baseball division of a creative arts agency, one of the biggest and best. Nonetheless, the bigger question you should be asking is, did Artie Moreno make a mistake by not trading Shohei Ohtani in the offseason? Let's think about that for a minute. Ponder that. Let's ponder that for 5 seconds. Close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes. Let's do that. Okay, you've had your 5 seconds, just as I have. Did he make a mistake? I believe, yes, he did make a mistake, and an enormous mistake. Look, short-term gains of putting people in the seats is one thing. Long-term revenues is something entirely different. So you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, did we make the right decision? Did we bring Ohtani any value? Did we bring ourselves any value? And these are the things that you have to ask yourself. Well, okay, they say we have the two best players in baseball, with Mike Trout and with Shohei Ohtani. That's what people say. Well, how could Mike Trout even be one of those when he can't stay healthy? As a matter of fact, Mike Trout has not played one full season yet in his entire career. He's injured every season. He's good. He's really good in baseball. The problem is this guy doesn't play 162 games. So when you think about Mike Trout with that enormous contract and his productivity, then you say, well, geez, you know, he won MVPs and crap like that. Okay, that's great. What was a guy like Cal Ripken Jr. worth with his over, I don't know, 2,200 games consecutive, et cetera, et cetera? I don't know. I know he had 21-31 because I actually had the official scorecard from the California Angels, because that's who they were. That's who the Orioles were playing in that game in Camden Yards in Baltimore. Ironically, I actually have a faxed copy of that game. As a matter of fact, for everybody on TV, here is the official. This is kind of a cool thing. It's a cool thing to have. You can probably see it across the top there. I think it says California Angels across the top. Let me see. Righty. So I'm just doing this off the cuff, and it says, there it is at the very, very top, from California Angels. All right. So look at that real faint print, and you can see the date right there. This is legit. I have the actual scorecard from that Cal Ripken 21-31 game. Now, this is very exciting to have. It's a great piece of memorabilia that I don't know anybody else outside of the Angels organization that actually has that scorecard. Why am I bringing it up? Well, I'm bringing it up because, first of all, this guy played every game for how many seasons? Mike Trout, what did you do? You've been injured every season for X amount of games, maybe totaling 15% of the season. I don't know. How much money in loss to the team is that? Let's start doing the math here. To me, it's tens of millions of dollars to the Angels organization. And so Artie Moreno has everything good in mind. Unfortunately, Mike Trout can't stay healthy. Why are we talking about Mike Trout? Because he's one of the alleged best players in baseball on the same team as Shohei Ohtani. And should the Angels have actually traded Ohtani in the offseason? The answer, in my opinion, is absolutely yes, they should have. They could have gotten back an enormous haul for him, an enormous haul. Should they have traded away Mike Trout to maybe the Phillies? Yes, let Mike Trout go back home and go win a championship there, because he's not going to win one in Anaheim. Anaheim has so much money spent, or LA, we'll call them, because they're now the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, of Orange County, the Orange Current of Interstate 5, of the Santa Ana Riverbed, of whatever. It doesn't matter, of Earth. The reality is this. You take that organization with those two jumbo contracts, you get rid of those, and then you bring in players. Number one, you can get back starting all-star players right back for those big players. And you're not going to skip a beat that much, because at the end of the day, if you look at the Angels, hey, they're 5 games under 500. They're 11 and a half back. Currently today, the American League West. They're not going anywhere. And this was, mind you, before Ohtani, let's just say even 10 games back, before Ohtani goes on the shelf, right? And then Mike Trout recently goes on the shelf again. And these guys are, look, this team is still well under 500 without the 2 alleged best players in baseball. So what could they have gotten back? Did Artie Moreno make a mistake? Absolutely. He should have gotten rid of both of those guys. But remember, this is the perception of baseball in LA, because what's going on about 30 odd miles up Interstate 5? The Dodgers are just rolling. These guys are well built. They've got chemistry. These guys are not a chemical disaster. They have done it. And what they've done is something very special. The Dodgers are clearly a cut above all teams in the National League except the Braves. The Braves are playing unconsciously, on the verge of setting a home run record, whatever. But then again, you have to ask yourself, did Rob Manfred adjust the baseball again, kind of like we've seen in the past? I don't know. We've seen quite a bit of that adjustment, because I believe Major League Baseball owns Rawlings. What a coincidence, right? But nonetheless, the 2 best teams in baseball, head and shoulders above everybody, are the Dodgers and the Braves. Well, guess what? One of those teams is right up the street from Anaheim, where the Angels play. So what do Artie Morenos of the world have to do? They have to keep up with the Joneses, right? And so, well, the Joneses happen to be the Dodgers. So how are they going to draw fans in from LA to come down to Anaheim? Well, you've got to keep the alleged 2 best players in baseball on your roster. But guess what, folks? That's not even working, because the Dodgers continue to pack them in. And the Angels, even with a healthy Trout and a healthy Ohtani, they played 500 ball. But now, guess what? Actually, they're playing with those guys in the lineup, sparingly, whatever, 10 games under 500 in a very good American League West. Seattle is just on fire right now. They could run away with this division. You never know. The Texas Rangers led it all the way through. Now the Rangers find themselves a game back. Oh, by the way, the world champion Houston Astros happen to be in the same division. So it's a little bit crowded over there with really good baseball. And what has Artie Moreno done? Try to compete with the Dodgers. Bro, you're competing with the wrong division. And what you haven't done is you haven't built your team to play the world champion Astros, the stable Texas Rangers, who really went crazy in the offseason and put all the right pieces in place. Oh, and by the way, those Seattle Mariners, who happen to be just on fire. And remember, last season, they did the same thing. This team is peaking maybe a little bit early, but that Seattle Mariners team, they are legit. So you ask yourself, where is the weakest team in the American League West? I believe they play in Anaheim, with the 2 alleged best players in baseball that can't stay healthy. Now, what do the Angels do in the offseason? They're going to have to unload everything. Are they going to re-sign Shohei Ohtani? Probably not. Will the Dodgers? Maybe. So he could stay home in Southern California and just drive a little bit further, or however he gets to work, whatever, magic carpet, helicopter, who knows? I don't know. With that kind of money, you can have everybody take you to work. The reality is the Angels have made serious mistakes in personnel management all the way to the very top. What is their recourse? Nobody knows, but I think somebody's going to get fired in Anaheim. And in fact, maybe Artie may sell the team. You never know. All right, back here in a few minutes on the circus. Lots more to come. You never know where we're going to go, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Can't be fun at the old ballpark, friends. Hi, pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize, there's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Barbary over the first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. One ball, one strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. One ball, two strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, there's a pitch foul on a play. Why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do? There's a smash to Squires. He's got it. 1, 2, 3, nothing. We're going to the bottom of the 7th now to score. All tied up. Milwaukee 4, the White Sox 4. Hey! Everybody! All right, Nancy, let me hear you. Three strikes you're around. Where's that drive? Way back. Holy cow! This crowd is wild.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Remaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP-TV. Folks, make sure to check out the sportscircus.com again for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, lots of those coming up for those upcoming guests. And I have to say that there's a really nice mix of sports, music, film, business, science. We've got it all here, folks. We started out just as sports, and we started out just radio, but we do a radio and television show, a real radio and television show, not a podcast like everybody else, like the 3 million podcasts that are out there. No, we actually have to pay attention to what we say. We can't say the bad words, of course, because why? The FCC may put a big strike against us for an enormous fine, and we don't want that. but we do a G-rated show over here, generally speaking, and we don't want to make anybody upset or offended or whatever the heck it is. But when we do hit the content sometimes a little controversial. We do like that because, hey, let's face it, if you got everybody nodding their head the same time, what's the fun? You need people nodding their head the opposite direction every now and then. And you need a little bit of controversy, some chaos and controversy. That's what we do here on the circus, if you know what I mean. So that being said, of course, we just had a nice discussion on Shohei Ohtani, and we even threw in Mike Trout and the Angels just for argument's sake, just for the fun of it in the last segment. But for the first three segments, it was why. Look, I'm going to finish that whole, I'm going to put a bow on this thing with the whole Shohei Ohtani. People say, oh, he's the best player in baseball. Is he the best player in baseball? I'm going to say absolutely 100%. No, he's not. Say he's a damn good player, but he's not the best player in baseball for several reasons. First of all, let's think about some of the best players in baseball. Think about a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr., who probably has the National League MVP locked up. I mean, this guy is good. And what does he do? He plays all the games, plays his position. The guy hits lights out as well. He could throw leather, hits for power, hits for average. He's very fast, got great arm speed. The guy could feel he's a 5-tool player. He really is. That is arguably the best player in baseball. Why? Because he plays every day, both sides of the ball. Not just one. He's not just hitting, and he's not just pitching 1 out of every 5 games. No, he's out doing it every day. And you can say the same thing about Freddie Freeman. Gotta love Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman is one of those guys that not only is great for the team. Remember, I said the 2 best teams in baseball are the Dodgers and the Braves, Dodgers, whatever. The reality is that you put whoever first you want. The 2 best players in baseball today are on those 2 teams. Do you want to throw Mookie Betts in there for the Dodgers? There's another really good player. And here's an underrated one. How about Matt Olson for the Atlanta Braves? So really the 4 best players, pound for pound, 2 on the Dodgers, 2 on the Braves. Are these the best teams in baseball? Absolutely. And I mean, hands down. They've got all the checks in all the boxes that they need done, right? They check all the boxes. So you don't have to worry about, well, they've relief pitching. Yes, they've got that. Starting pitching, they got that. Do they have all-stars out there, gold glovers out there? Yes, they do. Can they knock the cover off the ball? Absolutely, they can. I don't see Ohtani playing every game on both sides of the ball. We see him, let's say it's a healthy Ohtani, all things constant. Well, let's face it, he's batting and he's hitting very well. Like he finished up 309, 44 home runs. That's great stuff. Of course, the ball might be a little bit compromised, but the reality is there are other guys hitting better than him. He's not going to win the Triple Crown. We haven't seen one of those in a little bit. But the reality is he's a good hitter and he's a good pitcher, but he doesn't pitch every game. He doesn't play his defensive position every game like Freddie Freeman and like Ronald Acuna Jr. He does not play those positions every day. And the best player in baseball is out there every day. You can make the same argument and you say, well, was Michael Jordan the best player in basketball? Many say yes. I say yes. You know why? Because when he was on the court, Michael Jordan was the best player on offense and the best player on defense. So the best player in baseball in this case has to be both. And so it's easy to argue for Acuna, very easy to argue for him, and of course for Freddie Freeman. You have to give Acuna the edge on this. But at the end of the day, those guys are leaps and bounds better than Ohtani because they do play every day. And Acuna is hitting lights out, like I said, just like Freddie is. Freddie leads the world in doubles. He's got a great glove, a very likable guy. Ohtani is a very likable guy. The reality is those guys are playing every day, both sides. So does the $65 million or whatever the hell is the estimated number for Ohtani make sense? Let's say even a healthy Ohtani. In my opinion, no. And there are a bunch of stats out there on comparing him and Babe Ruth and whatnot. And a lot of people talk about those. And the reality is Babe Ruth played with a dead ball. It was harder to throw a dead ball. It was harder to hit a dead ball a country mile, in which Babe Ruth did that better than Ohtani on top of it. Look at the stats. I'm not going to go over them with you. Babe Ruth had better numbers overall than Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani's playing with a compromised ball, first and foremost. Never mind everything else. So is it easier to throw faster and all these other? Yes, it is. When you're throwing a beanbag versus this ball today, it's a very different baseball. And I know I caught a home run ball one time many years ago. And I remember Walter Weiss hit that home run. It was back in the late 80s. And so I have that ball. As a matter of fact, I've got that ball for everybody right here. All right. Let's see how I'm going to grab it. Here's the ball. And let's grab this 2005 World Series ball. Right. So you can see it's from 2005 World Series. Everybody watching on TV. And this ball, and that was signed by Bud Selig. Right. You can see Bud Selig on there. All right. All right. I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, it's Bud Selig. Okay. So here's another ball. This one, you can't even hardly see the markings anymore. This is the one that Walter Weiss hit way back in, I don't know, 1987, 88, whatever the hell it was. Anyway, this ball, and just in comparison, this ball is certainly heavier than this ball. And I could feel that just side by side. Here, this is a World Series ball. This is the one, the official one they used in 2005. This one, and this was from U.S. Cellular Field, Guaranteed Rate Field, call it what you will, in Chicago, South Side Chicago. This one was caught at that same stadium, right? So you got the same exact place where these balls were used. Very different baseballs. Now compare this heavier ball. I don't have one from Babe Ruth's era. That ball I felt those before. That ball's heavier than this ball here. So there's a big difference. Why are we talking about it? Because you're saying, well, this guy's better than Babe Ruth. Really? You better take a look at the stats. You better take a look at all of the numbers and then consider the ball that they used on top of it. I know as a former pitcher, I can tell you, these balls are different. They feel different. They're certainly heavier. This one to this one here from 2005, God knows what they've done in the last 18 years with the baseball. We know that Rob Manfred has adjusted the baseball. We know that. Rawlings was in control of this ball right here. Rawlings was in control of this ball right here. But in today's baseball, I don't even have one of those over here. The reality is, in fact, hold on a second. I may have one. I've got here. I've got this one signed by Goose Gossage. And this one, well, this is Bobby Brown ball, right? This one here, you can see it's signed by Goose Gossage. So this one's from Bobby Brown, right? You can see this here. And this ball is actually lighter. Here, put them in this way. This was the heavier ball from the 1980s. This ball is a little bit lighter, the new one that I just showed you right here. This is the Bobby Brown version, right? But the reality is, when you look at these baseballs, you say, all right, they all look the same, but they certainly don't feel the same. This is heavier. So is Ohtani playing with a compromised ball? In my opinion, yes, he is. Is he hitting further home runs? Absolutely he is, like everybody else. How does a 5'5" or 5'6" guy hit a ball 450 feet? It doesn't happen with this ball right here, folks. Sorry. Everybody gets a home run. So they say, all right, we're going to take steroids out of the game. And instead, what we're going to do is we're going to gas up that ball a little bit. We're going to wind it a little bit tighter. That core is going to be made of stuff that makes it travel more like a golf ball than a beanbag, right? Because why? People need excitement in a baseball game. Oh, they've got to have home runs because we know that they don't want to see a 1-0 baseball game where there actually takes a little bit of strategy, or a 2-1 game, or a 3-2 game. People don't like that. Now they have timers on the pitcher, timers on the hitter. It's the most stupid thing I've ever seen ever in baseball. The game has been completely compromised. So everyone's buying into this hype of Ohtani being the best player of baseball. In my opinion, sorry, he is not. Ronald Acuna Jr. and Freddie Freeman are both better day-to-day players than Shohei Ohtani. Should they get the big contracts that Ohtani was going to get prior to this injury of the owner? That should be the question everybody should be asking. And you know that Freddie and Ronald are saying, you know what? At least their agents and their fans are saying, hey, if this guy's going to get that kind of money, he only pitches once every 5 days. How come we can't get that kind of money? So it stands to reason that that is the standard that apparently was set for Ohtani when he only pitches 1 out of every 5 games as a healthy pitcher. Mind you, he's a designated hitter. So you say, well, he's playing both sides. No, you don't really play as a DH, right? You hit, you go up, you hit. If you get on base, you run the bases, whatever. Then you come back and you sit until you're next at bat. And so therefore, you're not really playing defense. No, you're only out there hitting. That's it. And good for the game, I guess. I don't like designated hitters. I like to see the pitchers actually hitting, because there's a lot of strategy that's been lost, especially in the National League, since they went to that full DH nonsense. A lot of strategy has been lost in baseball because of that designated hitter garbage rule. It's for the fans. Now we have shorter games. We have more home runs. We have a fan-friendly game. Why? So the sponsors can sell their adult beverages or their food products or whatever the heck it is, or insurance or cars or whatever. Why? It's all for money. Just like the college football realignment crap. It's all money. It's disgusting. The game of baseball has been compromised for what? Sponsorship, TV contracts. Where's the game? What is going on with the games? Look at teams around the league. Why are the Padres tanking? Why are they playing so poorly when they're loaded up the way they are? Think about stuff like that. Chemistry. The Angels, they seem to have a chemical problem every year. And if Ohtani was the savior for the organization, that chemistry would have been fixed. Now, wouldn't it? If Mike Trout was the problem, well, Mike Trout's still there. Mike Trout is not the problem. This is a management problem, player personnel problem. But also remember, when you're trying to re-sign one of these players for the long haul, well, you've got to have a player that checks out perfectly, because you're going to spend an 8-10 year contract, right? Well, you got to get your money's worth. And the Angels are notorious for that. Think back. Pujols, go a little further back. Hamilton, go a little further back. And on we go. Mo Vaughn. It goes way deeper. Anyway, folks, we're out of time here on the Sports Circus. Hope you enjoyed the show. Good baseball dialogue today. And come back in 23 hours for another dose of the Sports Circus. So until then, so long, everyone.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.